Hey everyone, welcome to Adobe Live. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Cody and I am joined by the wonderful, illustrious VooDoo Val. How are you doing today, Val?
Illustrious, apparently.
Yes,
That's how I'm feeling.
new
I like
vocab
that
word.
word. Yeah. Hi everybody. I'm Val. It's nice to see you. I missed you guys.
If you guys have never watched Juxtapaint, this is our second episode doing this show. Basically, what we do is, if you guys haven't seen our artwork, me and Val have very differing paint styles. So basically, every episode we have been choosing a theme to draw, and we're just like kind of just having fun, just drawing our different styles, just to see how our different mediums and techniques just kind of come together and make cool, different looking paintings.
The spooky and the cute.
The
combined.
spooky and the cute. Yes.
Hot Topic
indeed.
and Sanrio join hands in the stream.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, we have been like kind of last episode was pretty fun. Last episode we kind of went through like gemstones, birthstones, and stuff. And today our theme is Nocturnal, which I was super stoked about, honestly. And somehow, like, even though we do have very juxtaposing styles, we both, unbeknownst to the other, ended up choosing like a similar theme and topic, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty pumped. And I hope that you folks will join us, because we actually have a template. If you want to check out our template in the link below, where you can create some art along with us and actually add it to a pretty nifty trading card template here. And actually today marks when we're going to be like the end of the month. So we're going to be doing a raffle over on Instagram. So all of you folks who've been watching our episodes and stuff, Cody and I will have created a couple pieces a piece after this episode. And if you win our raffle by entering on Instagram, which you would do by leaving us a little comment on one of our Juxtapaint posts and tagging a buddy, we're going to choose a couple of random people to actually receive a physical copy of one of the trading cards in the mail. So if you guys want like a little Juxtapaint card, definitely head over and check us out on Instagram. And if you'd like to participate, you can tag us using Juxtapaint, hashtag Juxtapaint Adobe Live, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. Yes. Well, we are going to head on over to Photoshop so we can kind of show you guys what we're working on today. Like we said, we're kind of taking the kind of a little bit more of an abstract theme of Nocturnal, and we kind of just visualized what we felt like Nocturnal was. I'm personally doing something a little bit different than I've normally do. And Val, why don't you go ahead and kind of explain what you're kind of drawing with us today?
Well, when I first like was kind of taking a peek at, all the things that I could do for this, I was like, do plants count as nocturnal? Like we could do plants. And then you were like, hey, what do you think about my idea? And I was like, oh, we're doing this. This is happening then. So I'm doing like a bundle of Deadly Nightshade. And I thought it would be kind of cool to do, at first I thought I would do like one flower, but then I thought it would be kind of neat if I did like the nightshade in various stages of bloom. So we'll have like an open flower, kind of halfway, a bulb of sorts, and then some of the little hanging little drops, which that's just what I call them in my head when flowers are at that stage, the hanging drops part of the flower. Yeah. So I'm just gonna do that and then do some cool little floaties, maybe some fireflies around or something like that. What about you?
Cool. Yeah, honestly, it almost looks like your sketch almost looks like a ghostly wedding bouquet or something.
Oh,
like
that's
that. Yeah, I can visualize it already. It looks super cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. So for me, I don't normally do florals very often. But I don't know why. I think it's because, so I've been playing Baldur's Gate lately with my husband CJ, and I think I have kind of Dungeons and Dragons magical items on the brain. So I kind of wanted to take I took the theme Nocturnal and I was like, how can I use this to create like kind of like almost like a magical item, especially because we're putting our artwork on trading cards. So like I just kind of started visualizing like a bundle of like flowers or something like that, and I just put a ribbon around it, and I kind of wanted to do a VooDoo Val-esque kind of like cool tone purple. So I have a little bit of a color comp working. We might not, end up with those colors, but we're gonna start figuring it out as we go. But so I'm doing something a little bit different, funny enough, even though this show is all about our differing styles. I kind of actually ventured over a little bit to Val's side for this one.
Yes. Well, maybe I'll use some Codi colors in mine, because there's like the almost golden color of the inside of the nightshade. So maybe I'll go for some Codi Bear burnt orange and meet you halfway there. Speaking of colors, though, if you folks would like to join us today and you are looking for some color inspiration, in the link below, also with our template, you can see some of the mood boards and things we include for each episode to get you started. And there is kind of a nocturnal color palette, which I have created in Adobe Firefly. Just a lot of really cool textures. There's some bright colors and some dark colors in there, but really I think it's a pretty good example of how a lot of these like almost dusk colors and nighttime colors can really work together. So if you're going to be creating something with us and you start to detail it and you're looking for some place to draw color inspiration from, check out this resource and sample some colors for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to point out earlier that CJ said Codi : cute little flowers, Val, deadly nightshade.
Yeah.
And I think
that sums us up pretty well.
Yeah.
Codi, look at this beautiful thing. Me, terror. Love it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna for me, I have like my sketch is a lot looser, and so I think that instead of sticking like super hard to my line art, I'm gonna start blocking in large shapes. I think that's what I'm gonna do at first for my process. How are you getting started with yours?
Well, talking a little bit more about my inspiration for the flowers themselves, I wanted to show you guys. So the flowers that I actually used for this image are actually called Protea. And here are my reference photos for them. I first discovered this flower when I went to floral school. I had never heard of it before, but there's different versions of it. Like this one up on the top right is called a king protea. One second,
gorgeous.
King protea, he's right there. And then this one down on the bottom is kind of like a standard protea, and then this one down on the left is called a pincushion protea. And so there's all different kinds of versions of them, and they are not necessarily nocturnal plants, but I felt like they look alien enough to kind of like, they literally look like they're from a magical realm. Like they don't even look real, like they're super cool. So I kind of just like took that shape of the protea, and I'm using a different colors. Like I'm using some like more like indigo and violet colors for the petals instead, and I'm kind of just like, I think I'm gonna give them like big thorns also. So I'm kind of just like using that as like a base, and then I'm kind of just gonna like alter it a little bit to kind of like make it a little bit more magical.
You're basically like fan fictioning a flower.
Yeah.
like making your own thing out of it, which I think is really, really great, honestly, because there's a lot of things like that exist in our world, but with like a little bit of tweaking, you can kind of change it into something that's like totally larger than life. So this is going to be really interesting. Totally. I love, is that your color comp up there in the corner?
Yes. Yes, this is my little color comp. I originally was going to do the ribbon as like a dark like really, really dark purple, but I felt like it because I'm doing the flowers dark, I needed kind of like a pop of color. So I was like, what if I just try out a blue, like a light blue or something? And I kind of like it. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with these. Like a lot of the time when I throw down colors, I don't stick with them forever. We kind of just like experiment as we go, but who knows, maybe I will stick with these colors. I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's great. I really do. I think that again, I think you're right in that it's definitely not usual to like what I see from you, but I'm really, really excited to kind of see how you take that, you know what I mean? Like kind of seeing that. I feel like you've got such an incredible base here already, and especially with the addition of the color comp, I feel like it's going in such a fabulous direction, and I'm just excited to see how we make our way through it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, honestly, like I was a little nervous. I did the color comp just because like I don't work with these kinds of colors very much, but because the theme was nocturnal, I wanted to kind of like push myself to do like more of kind of like an ethereal, I guess, kind of an ethereal palette. So yeah, we're doing cool tones today, friends.
Yeah, it almost has like especially with I think it might be the movement of your elements as well. It almost gives me like a Sailor Moon vibe. Ooh. Just with like the ribbon flying around, which not necessarily like the subject matter, but like I think Sailor Moon is one of those things where like if you look up screenshots of that show and like check out a lot of the imagery and the visuals for it, it's something that like dramatic movement is a biggie for it, and like inanimate objects swirling around in a way that tells your mind like it's supposed to be flying across the sky like this, right? And so I've always actually gotten a lot of inspiration, or felt really inspired just to create in general, like seeing clips from that show, and looking at some of the design elements. So definitely makes me think of that a little bit.
That's cool.
I see Karen Jackson over on the YouTube channel saying, I'm new to Photoshop. How are you all adding the shapes and colors? I'm using the lasso tool. So I just hit L on my keyboard, so I can use the lasso tool to select some larger shapes. And if I come over here, like I'll kind of zoom in here to the flower that I'm going to add, like this little bulb type here. If I come in and kind of select like around the shape of my sketch here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to, instead of like adhering, like I said earlier, to the shape of my line art super strictly, I'm trying to just like create this giant shape which I can most likely fill in with a color and then come in with clipping masks as I love to do, but I can just kind of create my own layer, kind of sketch out almost with the lasso tool itself the rough shape of it, and then I'm hitting G on my keyboard to access my paint bucket tool, snagging a color and kind of paint bucketing in that little shape there, and then I'm just going to kind of build upon this with other larger shapes. So some of these are going to be kind of overlapping with each other, and then right now, so I've got that base purple going on there. Now I'm going to come in with another layer, and I'm just doing Control Shift in or Command Shift in if you're working on a Mac. And I'll come in with my lasso and add like the center of the flower that sticks out there, and I can kind of snag myself let's do like a Codi Bear burnt orange. I'm eyeballing it, so you'll have to forgive me if your spidey senses tingle and it's not on the list.
I'm sure you feel that way about purple too.
I do. If it's not the kind of purple I like, my eye twitches a little bit. I like a nice lavender, or a nice cool or a nice warm kind of a plum purple. If it's too cool, I get a little irritated, get a little agitated, start needing to paint something of my own, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I've got, you know, that little portion of the flower there, and it's on its own layer. So then later on I can come and start painting individually on a lot of these shapes. And I, like Codi Bear, I have I just have a Pinterest board up on my other monitor so I can take a peek at the flowers and make sure that I'm kind of illustrating them properly. And so I'm just like looking at all the different stages of the flower itself and making sure it is relatively accurate, which I'm starting to see it kind of evolve out of nothing now. But yeah, you can see how I could just come through here and build upon it until it starts to look right. And then after I've kind of come back to the various layers and like, you know, painted in a little bit of that texture, then I can start painting on it as a whole. And that's, I think that's similar to your process as well, right, Codi? Like I see you putting in your elements here, except that I think you are more likely to like paint that shape in rather than lasso it first and then paint bucket that lasso, right?
Yeah, so basically what I do, I actually very rarely use the lasso tool to create shapes simply because like a lot of the time my shapes are, I'm either using like a chalk brush and I want that chalk to be like throughout the whole shape, like around the edge and on the inside and stuff. And then I also will do like a painterly technique like I'm doing here. So the brush that I'm currently using for this is called Gouache Perfecto. It's by Kyle Webster. And you can download his brushes if you have a CC sub for free. All of his brushes are free. All you have to do is just right click when you have your brush in your hand and then go up to the gear and then go down to get more brushes and it will open up your browser and you can download all of his brushes. This brush specifically is in his mega pack. So basically the way that I am very like easily adding in, like I'll zoom in here, you can kind of like see all of these different like paint strokes, like colored paint strokes here. Basically what I'm doing, I think I talked about this last stream, but I love talking about color dynamics on brushes because it is such a lifesaver when you're trying to work with or trying to create a painterly technique. All you have to do is come up to the brush settings up here and then just tick on color dynamics. And what I have is I have saturation jitter at 11% and then brightness jitter at 2%. And then I also have apply per tip unchecked. So whenever I put down my brush, so I'll put it down and I'll brush, I'll pick it up and then put it back down again over and over and over again. And it actually just kind of starts using different versions of the color that I'm currently using. So it kind of gives a nice like painterly variation to my strokes. So it just like makes it really easy to be able to add this paint texture without having to worry about like, you know, fiddling with like saturation and brightness every single time, trying to get the right colors for every stroke. And it just kind of makes it like really like mindless, but in a good way. So I'll basically do that for every layer and every shape. I'll usually put each shape on a separate layer. So like right now I have my ribbon all on one layer here. And then like for the leaves, I'll put those all on one layer. Just so if I want to go back and change the color, it makes it really easy for me to just lock the transparency and just paint right over those shapes that I already created. So in a way, me and Val are kind of doing it similarly, but I'm just creating my shapes with a brush and she's creating her shapes with the lasso. But we both use clipping masks a lot and like lock transparency and stuff.
And I do kind of mix and match a little bit. Like right now, I've kind of like created these larger shapes to start making the bushel, maybe is the proper word, like the bundle there. But I also sometimes I do that in a just as a way to kind of create the larger shapes, because otherwise I don't know about you folks in chat, maybe other folks are really into using the lasso tool, but sometimes lassoing the large shapes allows me to not trap myself into that mode I get into a lot where I start focusing too much on the sketch. Like I start like, you know, trying to make all the lines perfect and whatnot. If I start at least with the lasso tool and I get all of the the big chunky shapes in, then I can start to make sense of it as like large basic shapes rather than like, well, maybe I should, you know, make this part of my flower like a little more smooth and a little more, and then before I know it, I'm locked into that portion of it and I haven't even started the painting really yet. So I've kind of done that here where I've like made these large shapes in with the lasso tool, and now I'm actually kind of supplementing those shapes I made with actually a little bit of illustration and like coming in and just adding and building upon that.
Totally.
So I would love to know if anybody is going to participate in the episode with us. Are you guys thinking about some cool nocturnal things you could be illustrating? Yeah. And likewise, I would like to know if anyone is excited about the giveaway, because again, we're going to be raffling off some physical copies of the trading cards from these episodes. So if you'd like to join that giveaway, all you have to do is go to the Instagram for either Codi Bear or me and comment on one of our Juxtapaint posts. Leave us a little note and tag a buddy, and we're going to select some people at random to get a little physical trading card in the mail. So Karen Jackson says that her mind immediately goes to owls when she hears Nocturnal, and so does mine. I almost did an owl, Cody, but we did that episode of the Patterns show together, and I did an owl. I did like a nocturnal forest pattern and did an owl, so I was like, maybe I won't do that again, but I do love me some owls. All right. Yeah, also think, the draw this in your style, also thinking owl made me think of Wade on DTIYS. He drew an owl. Yeah, because owls are good.
Right. Yeah, we did do owls. Yeah.
Oliver's in the chat also saying, I don't know if you meant to say Val's purples, but he says purples is, and I immediately read that in Gollum's voice. Purples is.
Hobbits?
The Hobbitses, and exactly. We're on the same page, Cody. We're on the same page for sure. That's why this works out so nicely. Also, Wade had said earlier, is Deadly Nightshade when you cast shade at night? If so, I've done that. And I took that to mean that perhaps secretly Wade becomes much sassier when the sun goes down. That's immediately what I wondered. So yes, indeed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I intended you to read it. Good, Oliver. What's purple, sis, precious?
I love it.
Asking if you're coloring with the Conte crayon brush still. I think the crayon brush, but I think it's Conte crayon, right?
Not today, but yes, I do use that brush a lot. That brush is also in the mega pack if you guys are curious, and this is what let's see. Let me make a new layer here. This is what that brush looks like. So we can kind of see a comparison to what I'm using right now. So today I'm using the Gouache Perfecto, and that's more of kind of like almost like, well, it's a gouache brush. I was about to say it's like oil paint. It's like, no, it's like gouache paint.
It's like gouache.
It's kind of like that painterly look. And then the Conte crayon, which I might use later. I might use for like little detail lines or something. But this is kind of more of a like a chalk crayon. It's a crayon brush.
Crayon brush. I watched somebody recently working with crayons, and it was like somebody who was like a very accomplished like oil painter working with crayons, because somebody was like, hey, could you do something with these? And I thought it was really cool because you and I talk a lot about like using different digital brushes that kind of mimic certain vibes and stuff. And I've always been really into brushes in a similar way as you, of like, you know, having that texture. And this particular artist was somebody who was like also kind of in that vein, also using a lot of like textured brushes and oil, like heavy oil paints. And somebody had issued him a challenge that was like, can you use this? And I think that the point of the video was to say that you could make art with anything.
Oh yeah.
And so he had painted, done like a master study of a master painting, using crayons. And the only difference between like how I would approach using crayons and what he did was he had a hair dryer out the whole time, melting the wax as he blended it, and it kind of gave a little bit of that texture, like kind of what you and I go for sometimes. And I thought that that was amazing. So crayons, digital or traditional, are actually amazing.
Wow, that's super cool.
Looks like we got a link to Kyle's brushes in the chat. Thanks, Jack. Ante crayon looks like crayon. Gouache perfecto looks like gouache. Yes, indeed. Yes, mind blown.
These are the things that I have taught today on Adobe Live.
I cannot believe. I can't believe that it's already been like a half hour. That's what's wild.
It has?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're 25 minutes after the hour right now. How wild is that? I'm gonna try and like pick up the pace a little bit because I wanted to get into like color.
Oh my goodness.
Time flies when you're having fun with your friends. All right, I got another little dewdrop. What is that part of the flower called? The little hangy bits that look like little flower dewdrops. Is there a word for that? A stamen? Like stamen. Like not in the center of it, like yeah, but just like the little flowers that aren't developed. The
little things that hold pollen. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not in the center of it, but like when a flower hasn't bloomed yet and it's like being made. And it's like a little bud. Is it a bud? Is it a flower bud?
It's like the little. It's like that thing. It's like that thing. That word that I just used. You know.
Yeah, it's like
that.
It's like that. Hey, you know what? Sometimes things are just, they're just simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it, Val. You don't have to. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, I think that is the shape that I want to go for my bushel, and I'm going to choose a background color. I'm going to come over to the color palette thing that we've kind of created, and I am going to eyedrop, I think, a couple of colors here because there's some things I really like. I like this, there's like this lavender color that has like a really nice hint of red in it, blended with what looks like I think it's one of those things where when it's next to it, the color looks almost blue, like bluish, but really it's like a dark purple. Mm-hmm. I do like these like kind of earthy purple tones, and then I'm gonna grab whatever this is. That one's like literally like a reddish brown color, but it looks, I guess now when I pull it away from like the backdrop from it, it does look like a reddish brown, which is kind of cool. So I might go for some of that. I will also grab a more saturated orange from here, perhaps.
Mayhaps we will do that.
Mayhaps we shall. We are slowly devolving into Smeagol on this stream, folks. Welcome to Juxtapaint with Codi Smeagol and VooDoo Smeagol.
Those are the best Adobe Live episodes.
Really, they truly are. Did you guys watch Ninja Turtles Mayhem? The art is amazing. I have not seen it. That's the new.
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
the new one, right? I was actually blown away. If it's the one I'm thinking of, the art style for it is like almost like Into the Spider-Verse levels of impressive like presentation. So I'm pumped for it. AM. Let's go ahead. I think with these, I think I do need like a dark purple. So I'm gonna sample that, and I'm gonna make myself like a background color, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint bucket and just make this extra dark. Welcome to the show where Codi and I talk in weird voices and make up our own versions of words.
Yeah, pretty much. And also we do art.
Yeah, we do draw stuff as well. But honestly, I think that sometimes watching a stream makes me feel really great about my own process, because do you know, for the longest time I thought that I was strange for like making faces at my paintings and talking to myself out loud, but I think we're all a little mad in that way when we start channeling art, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Don't know how many people we've had on Adobe Live, including Mr. Howard Pinsky, that makes sounds while he works.
the mythic boop, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and lock transparency. Sometimes I start with a clipping mask, but I think I'm gonna start with a lock transparency for now. Ooh, that's not dark enough. Here we go. Something like that. I'm gonna kind of experiment with how this could work. I would like to know who in chat also makes a noise or a funny face when they paint, and I'd like to know what it is. Tell me your secrets, chat. Because I feel like I look, sometimes when I'm working really hard, I feel like I look like a very unapproachable person. When I'm like really focused, and I was told when I first started streaming and didn't realize that I made faces while I was working, somebody told me once, they're like, you know, I'm really glad I stayed for the show because this is good, but when I first came in here, you didn't look very nice. I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm kind, I swear.
You gotta put on that streamer face.
I know. I gotta remember to smile at you guys so you don't think I'm deranged when I'm painting monsters and poisonous plants. Bliss says, I know I make faces. Yes. Gotta be cheesing 24/7 on stream. Yeah, I gotta remember you guys are here and smile at you. Either curl lip in or stick out tongue in the tongue, like thinking tongue pose. Oh yeah, scrunchy eyebrows. I make the faces that I'm trying to illustrate.
Yeah,
sometimes. And I paint a lot of monsters, so it's
not
harrowing.
Good.
Yeah, it's harrowing in here sometimes. It's not a great vibe in my office most days. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in here real quick, and I'm gonna say that, like, kind of visualizing the 3D space of the shape that I've selected for this little bulb, even though it's like there's like clear separations between there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say that that portion of it right here is behind, and I'm gonna give it a darker sheen so that this one that's on the very end looks like it's actually the one closest to the larger not that, so that it looks like it's actually the one closer to this one here. Just to kind of give it a little flair.
Yes.
And then I will kind of shade these in the back. Speaking of shading, you are absolutely killing that ribbon, man.
Thank you.
That's so good.
I guess, you know what, you guys, I could actually take a break for a second and show you how easy it is to do a ribbon like this.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let me turn off my layers really quick. I can show you guys how I sketched this out. Let's see. Okay. Let me put all these guys into a group here so we can turn this off. Okay. So if you guys want to create a cool, like, floaty ribbon like this, like how I made it, like, kind of go around my flowers and stuff, and it looks like it's all curvy and, like, twisty and stuff, I can show you a super easy way to do that. So let's make a new layer here. And I am going to grab my sketch brush. Here we go. And let's just put in a little flower friend so we have something to make the ribbon go around, just for the sake of visualization. Here's our little flower. So we can go ahead and just make a new layer here. I'm going to turn down the opacity of our new flower. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to make one single swirl line. However, like the shape that you think, the general shape that you want your ribbon to go. I'm actually going to turn on smoothing because that can be really helpful to create those really nice, smooth, like elegant curves that you might see of like a floating ribbon.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do, so smoothing, let's see, I don't know how I want to do this, but basically just kind of like let your hand flow, you know, like when I first drew this ribbon, I didn't exactly know how I wanted it to be, but I just kind of let my hand do its thing.
Pretend it's a little snake.
Exactly.
Make a snake friend.
And actually the final picture or the final shape that I did, like with this end here on the left, I kind of had it curve up. It almost actually does look like a little snake tongue.
I like it.
Okay. So we are going to just kind of, let's see. So we have like a little opening right here. So I might kind of just like as a puzzle piece kind of situation, I want my shapes to kind of like naturally fit into each other. So I am just going to, there we go. There's our little swirl ribbon shape.
That's a good swirl.
Okay.
That's a real good swirl.
So, how I'm going to create the ribbon looking like it's twisting is I'm going to make another new layer, and I'm going to start right about here. So that makes the ribbon, I don't know, like an inch wide. So you want to make your second line the width of the ribbon that you want to create. That's going to be your starting point right here. So this is going to be like our forked end of the ribbon. So basically what we want to do is we kind of want to pull, just keep in mind that the ribbon is the same length throughout the whole thing. So if you can visualize that, it will help you be able to know where to place your second line. So basically so here's the width of the ribbon, but it's going to start coming up and kind of like coming into perspective here. So it's going to come into a curve and it's going to come. So there's a twist right there. We're not going to worry about connecting any lines or anything right now.
Oh, I see.
On the curves, we're going to come across because we're going to twist. Come across again because we're going to twist. And then we're going to come out. And a lot of the time, I like to come and make my ends flat again. So here's that other second forked end of the ribbon.
It's very dynamic that way.
So let's turn off smoothing here. And let's make a new layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect our lines now. So as you can see, if we come in, if we kind of zoom in here, we have these like weird gaps. Like that's not really what a ribbon looks like, but we have the makings of what a twisty ribbon will look like. All we have to do is kind of come on the top of our curves here and just connect those lines. And then we can just come in here and on our first layer, there we go. And then we can erase the underneath line. And now we have a little twist in our ribbon.
Nice. That's such a great way to do that. And you know, I think that could also be applied, like that same mechanic could be applied to other ribbon type stuff. Like you could probably create a hairstyle that way, like kind of showing the, like building yourself maybe a template for how you want the hair strands to move and all that kind of stuff. You could probably do a lot of really cool stuff with that. And I like how if you break it down to like a simpler form, instead of like worrying and agonizing over trying to make a 3D ribbon, like just using those lines can really put it into a good understandable perspective for you.
Yeah, the perspective of a twisting ribbon is just like nuts. so much thought goes into it. But if you just break it down into like these just like two lines, that's it. You know, and then of course you can always go back and kind of finesse it, you know, like my shapes, my lines aren't perfect, you know, like I got some little like bumps or whatever, but you can go through and smooth all that out later.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Once you have the base perspective down, it's so much easier.
I think that a lot of times I do paint the best when I stop worrying so much and take a breath and start to think about like, okay, I'm trying to paint this thing and it's really daunting to me. But what really is it at its core? Like, what is the base version of this thing? And boiling stuff down to like the simplest form you could possibly manage for it can sometimes work wonders to illustrate more intricate things. So I think that is a fabulous lesson for us. Thanks, Cody.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna have to paint some ribbons.
And then also one more tip too, like if you have like, say you see like right here, I have like this natural, just like little bit of a kink in my line. I didn't intend for that to happen, but it's there. What I can do is I can actually just kind of follow that curve all the way down and kind of just add in another little curve in the ribbon there if you want to. Just
give it like a, like make it fold, kind of imagine it, bring it into the 3D space there. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of the process in painting anything, and I would love to know what you folks in the chat think, or what you think as well, Cody. But like sometimes there's like little points when I finally do kind of figure out the basic shape or basic like form. I get my sketch down and then I get to like approach like the most satisfying portion of the process for myself. And I think it's that, like, once everything's planned out and I'm not like trying to find the form and the shape anymore, and I'm not confused by any form or anything, like getting to the point where like, okay, I'm going to detail this now. That's the part I lose myself in. And like basically kind of what I'm doing right now is like, okay, I've got all the shapes in, so now I can start like putting details on the little flower pieces.
Yeah.
But I also have a bad habit of starting that portion of the process too soon. Do you ever do that?
Oh yeah.
I do that way too often, where I'm like, I know that I have to finish this blocked out shape or this sketch or whatever, but what if I detailed the whole face now before the body is planned out? What if I do that?
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Especially like if other parts of the image just aren't really working out for you. So like you just naturally kind of gravitate towards what is working for you. So like for, like you just said, like, yeah, like, oh, well, I want to detail the face right now. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm going to work on, because that would be the part that makes me happy. And then I finish it and I realize I've zoomed in and they have like a super detailed face, but it doesn't match the rest of the body. And the body is like garbage. It's just scribbles and blocky shapes, and I'm like, well, now I just have a really weird painting I've spent 5 hours on. What have I done? Who let me do this? I just wanted to point it out that it can be like that sometimes. Yes, exactly, Bliss. Sometimes it be that way.
It be like that.
Yep. All right, I think I'm gonna, like, I feel like I have a pretty solid like 3D bushel going. Like,
yeah, that looks awesome. I still feel like it looks like some kind of cool wedding bouquet, like fantasy wedding bouquet or something.
You're
like
totally
that. Looks
right.
Super cool.
Maybe I will employ some of your ribbon, and like put that around the base of it there. That could be really cool, like a cool colored ribbon right there. That's when you crop in on the face. It's a portrait now. That's Jack. If you knew how many of the portraits in my portfolio are because I did exactly that, none of us would be laughing.
That's hilarious.
All right, I think, how are we doing on time? I always forget. I forget what time it is when I hang out with you, Cody.
About 15 minutes.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do like some quick color combo correction. I kind of made my background dark or lighter because I want to kind of mess with the contrast here a little bit. I think the problem I'm having is that like what I've done is not 100% accurate to the plant, but then I'm also like, but I'm the boss of this. So maybe it doesn't matter if it's
You're doing your plant fan fiction.
Yes, my plant fan fiction, exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that maybe I will just make it like a little darker purple, but I'm gonna leave the like reddish color of the rest of it because I like it. And that's, in my fan fiction, this is what it looks like.
Exactly.
No one can stop me. Okay. Let's get like some purple stuff going. Surprise! More purple. I'll do like the little tip of that. And then I'm gonna try this time not to, last episode I kind of threw the artwork into our template, but I almost got cut off. So I'm attempting to like make sure that I don't get so engrossed into this at the end of the stream that I don't show it in our little template.
Right.
And if you folks decide that you want to participate, you can throw your work into the template as well and have a nifty little little Instagram post ready for yourself for posting, so you guys can tag us. Let's do this little bright purple on the end here. I really like this. I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Oh man, yeah, the sheen, I just looked down, the sheen on your petals looks super awesome. It almost like looks like silk. That looks super cool.
Yours just got really magical. Like,
I'm trying out some like lighting effects here. I don't know how it's gonna go, but like I struggle personally like with dark backgrounds, so I want to try to give that like just like really dark environment, but also like kind of glowy. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
This is I think this is probably the most sinister Cody Bear piece I've ever seen, and I am so here for it. I'm so here for it. AM says you guys are amazing. You're very sweet, AM. Aww. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching.
So nice. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, friend. All right, I think that looks pretty cool. I think I could also you know, come back and do some more details. Maybe I'll do, what's our time looking like? We got about 10 minutes, so kind of taking a close look at my reference and then adding some more of these, you know, detail lines that give a little bit more substance to the flower itself. Yeah, like, you know, how much more of this fact can I add to the fiction here? Right. Of like, I don't necessarily, you know, it's not, the goal here is not to do like something that's photorealistic. It's to suggest to you that what I'm portraying could be real. Yeah. In a way that you recognize as believable, something substantial. Yeah. Yeah. And so I want to like suggest these little lines. You're like, okay, those are the lines in the petals. That makes sense to me. And I also want to add some of the little, like, it looks like on a lot of these, there's like these little circles down at the base on the inside of the petals, which is kind of cool. So I want to add a little bit of that. But aside from those like slight marks, especially because like if I zoom in, it's all very like random and like big chunky colors, but the farther I zoom out, as long as those things are in there, the more the brain says this is a bundle of flowers.
Totally.
Let's do some of those little yellow spots, and then maybe they're like yellowish green, I don't know, something like that. And then I'm going to throw it into our template so we can check it out. And I'm super excited. So the speaking of the template, the giveaway that we're doing, we will be, just to make sure, I can't remember how clear I was about it, but we are going to be choosing the people who win after the live stream. So they're going to be chosen on Instagram, out of the pool of people who leave us a little comment on one of our posts about the show. But I'm not going to do it before the end of the live stream, because also I'd like to be able to post some of the finished pieces so you guys can see what we're doing the drawing for, you know,
Yeah.
like go ahead and leave our comment, but we'll let you guys see the kind of the final version of these. I also have some flavor texts that I need to add to the card. So prepare, especially if you win. You guys are going to be getting some sassy cards.
Yes.
In the mail.
Our magical items.
Yes, with some good jokes, I imagine. And so sometimes I'll be so engrossed working on one part of the art, like for another part, using another brush entirely, and will legit forget what brush I was even using. That is so real.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. 100%. I have so many times been like, how did I even make this texture?
Yes. Oh, it's so frustrating. I really love the fact that they just recently added recent brushes in Fresco. Yes. I really wish that they had that in Photoshop. I hope one day they eventually add it in Photoshop, because recent brushes is such a lifesaver, because once I see that little list of brushes that I just used, it kind of like jogs a memory, like, oh, okay, yes, that's what I did.
100%. I reach for it sometimes when I'm painting in Photoshop until I forget, like, oh no, I don't have it. I don't have that.
Yeah.
Darn. All right. I think that is probably about good. And I'm gonna snag this, go ahead and save this, and I'll throw it into our template. Maybe we can switch over to you while I kind of work behind the scenes here.
Sure.
And then we can pan over and do a little bit more on kind of taking a peek at what the card looks like.
Yeah, full screen me. Okay. Yeah, so I am just kind of trying to fill in. I'm working off of my my color comp here. I'm kind of working a little bit out of order than I usually do, because I'm just kind of like out of my comfort zone a little bit right now, so I don't really have everything down to a science like I normally do. But you know, it's working, it's going. We got things, we got shapes, we got colors. You know,
you got atmosphere, Cody. You really do. I love it.
I just gotta like lean back so I can see it.
No, I love it. I think it's magical. I think it's spooky. You're definitely speaking to my heart for sure with this. And like I said, I think it is kind of the most sinister Cody Bear thing I have seen, but I am just living for it. I love it.
Maybe I should do some more Nocturnal like artwork in the future.
Yes. I will not say no to seeing more of that. 100%. All right, I am kind of throwing the art into our template here. I am doing a little bit of cropping here to kind of fit this into our piece. I think that's honestly probably gonna do it right there. How are we doing on time? Just so I don't.
Totally we just got a couple minutes left here.
Okay. Awesome. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to resize this and throw this right here. I think that you can kind of, you might, you know, I think the beauty of this template is that if you guys get here to like add your work in, and it doesn't fit, everything has got a moving part. So you really can kind of arrange it exactly how you want to. So don't worry, like if you go to kind of add your piece in and it's not exactly perfect because you've used a different aspect ratio as you've created your piece or whatever, go ahead and move the card around a little bit and make the template your own. You don't have to make it look exactly like ours. But there's my nightshade, and it's also occurring to me that our template matches my painting, which actually looks really cool in here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got I've thrown the Deadly Nightshade into the card template. I'm gonna add, you know, obviously a background and stuff to make it a little, spice it up a little bit before we would do the giveaway. So there'll be a little extra magic on this for sure. But yeah, this has been super cool. Maybe we could do a little preview of our respective pieces before we take off. It fits into our overlay so good, by the way. I just love, like, it's just cool.
Yes, I love it. That's so awesome.
Yeah, but this was fun. This was a cool one. I love yours. I'm in love. I hope I win the giveaway because I want I want the spooky Cody Bear trap card, honestly. And yeah, this has been super fun. We got just a minute here, and I see that Jack has posted our links in the chat, so definitely take a look at us over on Instagram. Leave us a comment and tag a friend in our Juxtapaint posts if you would like a chance to win one of the free little trading cards, the physical trading cards. Is there anything else you'd like to announce before we take off, Cody?
I don't think so. We won't be here next week, but we will be here the week after. And also, I just wanted to throw it out there that we actually will have an episode on Halloween next month. So look forward to that. Or even more spooky.
Yes.
So yeah.
I'm pumped. Definitely looking forward to that. Send us suggestions too for themes and things. Let us know what you guys want. But yeah, I guess that's it. Guess we're
all right, you
off.
guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.